Completely. Right, good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for coming to the... We have a double... We have... Switch it off, please. We have a slight technical hitch that someone has got the mute. Take it outside. Right, sorry, just bear with me a moment. For the benefit of anybody watching, my voice is coming out of a computer, which is the computer controlling the applications, so that is not going to work. No, absolutely not. Can you restart it? When in doubt, switch it off and start again. I've got everything turned off here. You think it's still there? Yeah. Just bear with us. I don't know if you... Hello, can you hear me? No, still. Yep. With a slight delay that is really irritating. So I'm going to have to apologise to anybody who's watching online who looks at the recording. Unfortunately, we got a technical feedback, and we're going to have to continue the meeting without the mics. Yeah, we have apologies from Councillor North. and Councillor Larson.
Councillor Larson. And are we recording Councillor Bell's?
Yes,
apologies?
yes, he did say he wasn't coming, so.
Yeah, so Bell, Larson and North.
I don't know if
Yes, you do.
Can you hear? Any feedback? Okay, thank you. So the outline of the new planning is to have a kitchen infill, a roof terrace and a Juliet balcony. So what we're asking as residents, because this is a 52-week holiday let that's unregulated, unmonitored and unsupervised, that you support from the local community. So although we know that you cannot intervene with the multiplying the occupancy, you can support us with declining more outside spaces, i.e. the roof terrace and the balcony. We have lots of noise, antisocial behaviour and a huge lack of privacy in our homes because of the 52-week let. And our experience from past guests is that guests accessing a roof garden and a Juliet balcony would increase the disruption and lack of privacy that we already have, but equally would have a safety issue, as most holiday makers, and quite rightly so, we all go on holiday, are intoxicated. So again, I go back to being unregulated, unsupervised and unmonitored. Parking is a huge issue in and around our town. We're all working families with growing children. We can't park. We continuously clean the rubbish from that premises because of the multiple occupancies. We've now started to call the police, as we discussed at the last meeting. So the property is already impacting on our well-being, and I think more outside spaces would do so. If you remember one of the testimonies from a neighbour that we brought with us last time, she was too unwell to come now because of the impact of this dwelling. We would ask for a community impact assessment if we're continuing to have these kind of applications around our town in residential areas. And we ask that these businesses are not considered the same as residential dwellings because the behaviour of the occupants are different.
I have to say I couldn't sympathise more. We have one in Pentar.
Yeah.
In terms of this community,
I know. So The roof terrace and the Juliet balcony. So on the roof terrace, they would look directly into number 42's bedroom and down their stairwell into their space and over onto St Mary's. The Juliet balcony would look across the gardens. And it's just the nature, the behaviour of the dwelling is different.
But we can say that, and we can say that terrace
Yeah,
is it will generate noise that will affect the immunity.
yeah.
I think I'm looking at our planning expert. That's probably all. Is there anything else you wanted to say? I think that's probably covered it. We've done all this because we wasn't that long ago. Wasn't that long ago?
Redacted the huge big extension on the back, which would overlook the whole terrace, but we are really worried about the outside spaces and the impact. Anything else? Anything else?
So what I'm going to do now is propose the close public questions and ask Duncan to present on this. So I'll propose the close public question. Show of hands to close public question. Take us through the application, Duncan.
Right. Yeah, I think we might have sorted our microphone problem.
Oh,
Okay. So
I'll try. Can you? Is it worked? Fine. Thank you. We're back.
You?
On. We're back on.
yeah. Right. So in terms of comments, you've got your comment pack in front of you, councillors. You'll see that South West Water had noted that there were no surface water strategy details provided, and there are currently 11 public objections. At our meeting of the 6th of November, this committee returned an objection to planning application PA 240791, which was for a rear ground floor infill extension to neighbouring party wall, amendments to fenestration, new dormer to create loft room with roof terrace and associated privacy screening. Your key concerns when you objected to this were the impact on neighbouring properties, chiefly the loss of privacy, and councillors also noted the high level of local objections from residential neighbours unhappy with the ongoing disturbance associated with this commercial holiday let property. The application, that application was confirmed as withdrawn on the 11th of November. So this is a new consultation. So yeah, we'll start off with the location plan, showing the application site, proximity to neighbouring properties, obviously, and including St Mary's Court and Kimberley Court. So when we're being reconsulted, we always ask ourselves what has changed. Firstly, whilst this is still a householder application, the applicant has changed to reflect the commercial nature of the property. So this is a company making the application rather than an individual as it was last time. Secondly, the description has been updated to better reflect the works applied for. I think it's a much longer description this time because there were more elements than were referenced in the previous description. And thirdly, the works to the rear of the property, which is where most of this is taking place, have been reduced to match the existing building line. So we'll see from the diagrams, from the plans in a minute, but the works extended out into the back garden. They aren't doing that to the same extent now. So I've put together sorry, let's just get this annoying little thing out of the way. I put together hopefully you can see that reasonably well, a site plan of the previous one that we looked at last time, and this current one. What I really want to focus on is this area here. So you'll see that previously the extensions went out beyond this blue building line, so extended beyond. Now they are not doing that, okay? We'll have a look at the elevations next. Can I use that? Sorry, I've got. Oh, don't worry. Right. So it's really the rear elevation that we're interested in. Sorry, I just want to get this there, get it right out of the way. Right. Okay. So that's the existing rear of the property, the east elevation. Hopefully you can see that there is already an extension to the rear of the property that sticks out, which matches the building line. Previously, we were looking at, as you can see, the dormer at the top, the Juliet balcony, and a extension at the bottom there, which is all coming out beyond the building line. Let's just make that a little larger and focus on that rear. So let's have a look. So what we can see is that the ground floor rear extension has been extended to the full width of the building. You'll see that previously let's just make that slightly larger. Previously it didn't quite go all the way, and now it is. This is the rear ground floor fill extension element of the application. At first floor, it looks like they've added about 0.5 meters to this to the width of this rear extension. But when I compared it with the drawings, it's just been poorly drawn. So it is just the same as before. The Juliet balcony remains unchanged. At the second floor level, the existing obviously shows that there is no second floor at the moment. The dormer is now wider than it previously was. So last time you looked at the dormer that went part the way across, it's almost going all the way across now by the looks of it. Whether that relates to the drawing error on the previous plans, I'm not certain. The 1.7 meter balcony screening has been moved to the other side. So previously, when the building sat beyond the building line, it was on the right-hand side, but now it's going to sit on the left-hand side because it's basically got a flat wall against it. There is
a precedent for that in other buildings on the street, are there?
I've got a couple of photos that I took, which I can share with you. I think that's the better one. So it's the one in the middle, this white one. So the roof terrace that we were looking at will this will no longer push out beyond the building line. It doesn't look like it, but this is an even building line across all three of these properties. It doesn't push out beyond that building line now, so there's no need for the screening on this side, but they are keeping screening on this side because, well, effectively you're going to have two terraces right next to each other of a very sort of kind of similar ilk.
And that terrace is the house next door, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, that would be number 40, that one with that terrace. yeah, so that kind of explains the fact that the screening has kind of has changed. I can't remember if there was anything useful on that one. Yeah, so the terrace is going to sit here. So you've got that blank wall on that side, and then you would have the dormer up here and the screening on that side. But you are going to have two terraces that are sitting quite close to each other, which is yeah, interesting. There is the fact that there's a terrace already here looking down in the Kimberley Court, I've forgotten which court it was now, St Mary's. That does suggest that there is already an element of overlooking there anyway, and I would have thought that the Cornwall Council officer would probably say, well, there is already views there anyway, and so may not be that concerned about this. In terms of the floor plans, there's not too much to see here. The let's have a look. Right, so there's a modest extension to this raised decking area, but that does already exist. And I think if I show you that photograph again, you see this, you can't see it brilliantly, this wooden structure is the steps up to what is a raised decking area. It is going to be slightly larger, but it does already exist out the back. Yeah, and you've got the infill extension, obviously, which now goes the full way across, which is creating a kitchen at ground floor level. The Juliet balcony, the addition of the Juliet balcony is probably sort of the main change to the existing property at the moment. So again, let's refer to that photograph again. So you're looking at a Juliet balcony on this window here. And it's quite a large window at the moment already, but that will become a Juliet balcony. And this dormer, the newly created dormer, it's referred to as an attic room, and this opens onto the new roof terrace that's created on top of the existing flat roof. Yeah, I mean that's the application. It's not protruding as far out as it did last time, so it is a reduced application.
Can I ask you a question before I talk to my colleagues? Because this is actually an employment site now, we're now saying it's a business. Is that right?
Yeah, it would appear to be, and so we have policies around parking, don't we?
It's our policies under which is E2, which is new employment and training space, and our bottom line is that we encourage and we applaud extra commercial site, but it is a requirement that they do not adversely impact on the landscape or on existing residential amenity. So the decision, I think, here is that we're looking at, is this going to affect residential amenity? And there is a requirement to provide adequate off-street parking in accordance with the travel plan guidance, whatever that is now. So are they providing any parking?
There is no parking changes to this application. They'd just be looking at the on-street parking. Which neighbourhood plan policy is that? E2.
New employment and training space. So we've got an existing residential amenity, and all new non-residential developments should provide adequate off-street parking. Consideration to be given supporting non-mobile. That's talking about. But that is basically what was the two issues that will probably arise here, which wouldn't arise in a householder application, I don't think. Anybody got any comments in that case?
Yeah, I just if they're setting up it being a commercial premises, does they need planning permission to actually be a commercial premises?
I think it be a commercial premises. I think.
Well, no, they did residential in the last application, didn't they? Is this actually registered as commercial premises, or do they need planning permission for this?
That's a very good question.
I'm not certain, because C3 it's a broad umbrella for residential, and it does include holiday usage. And I think that this is clearly what this is being used for. So my gut feeling is that there isn't anything to do with a change of use class with this. It's in Wales, the rules are slightly different, but in England they aren't. So as far, we can certainly ask the question, but my understanding is that this would still be covered by, it's not a guest house, it would still be covered by C3.
Right in saying, though, it's our employment spaces that policies that apply rather than the householder policies.
I think that's a really useful policy to pursue. I think this is the first time that we will have done this. And it'll be very interesting to see how the office does it. But the fact is that it's a commercial organisation that have put in this application. It has been really established that this isn't just somebody letting out a room. They're effectively, they're almost operating, sort of one step below being a guest house, aren't they? So I think that's a strong way to approach this.
Can I also make the point as well, just because this is a similar situations that we saw on St George's Road on that corner extension out the back, which already had the neighbours already had a balcony there. So even though in one sense it is a precedent that there's a balcony out the back, a terrace out the back, because that's there, then that impact of putting another balcony on is directly by that is going to influence that. So they've
a loss of privacy to the existing terrace.
Yes, the loss of privacy for that, and really check then the overlooking.
I think the problem is if we apply the householder, which is H1, and they also talk about a detrimental impact on the amenity of neighbouring properties, because that terrace is already there, you could say that the precedent has been set. If they had come in with a true, the question we have to ask ourselves, if an individual had come in with a application to put another terrace out in the back, would we have a problem if they were not a business? It's because we know it's being used as a.
I think it is because it's a precedent. They sort of but they've missed the boat, because you're putting up something they're going to be then losing their privacy. But they haven't got screening or anything. They've just got a waist high balustrade going around it, looking at that photograph. So why should they adapt? Well, that's already been given permission to then having somebody next door.
So you reckon if it went ahead, they would need privacy screens against the
other.
Yeah, and so this sectional drawing shows the balcony screening that they would be having. So they've got a blank wall on one side and then this balcony screening on the other.
But then that's going to impact upon light for the next door neighbour.
I am quite happy to raise an objection on this. I'm happy to propose an objection. I think the relevant policy is E2. It's all about affecting the amenity of the neighbour. If the officer came back and said because it's a C3 umbrella, it's got to be H1, it is more difficult. But we are also saying that it's going to affect the amenity of that terrace.
Yeah.
But our main problem is really the fact that we know that balcony is going to be used by people on holiday having a good time. And I don't mind people on holiday having a good time. That's what we're well known for. But it is a problem when it affects when you're in a residential area and it affects the amenities of your neighbours. So if I propose an objection, Duncan, do I have enough there to base an objection?
I think so. I don't know.
Oh, and the parking.
Yeah, I think that the parking is. I think that the I think that the policy E2 is the strongest way that we can go, because I think that there is already existing overlooking in a number of, it's sort of over a number of properties anyway, and I don't think that it will carry that much weight.
It's all a bit technical, isn't it, depending what they come up with.
One of our previous issues was that there was overlooking because it extended beyond. You could literally look backwards into windows, but you can't do that now.
Would this application not just compound that problem?
Well, that's what we're saying.
Yeah, from the overlooking
So
perspective.
if you've got enough, I'm going to put, is there a seconder for objection? I think Francis was second. Can we have a show of hands for supporting the objection? Yes, I think that's all of us. We'll hand it over to you, Duncan, to actually write.
I can put in as strong an objection as we're able to with this.
Can we put in as well the usual thing about solar and...
If it were passed.
And the no drainage, the acknowledgement of that. And that their roof plan at the front of the house is still missing the two skylights that they have on the elevation drawings.
Yeah.
Right, well, where we are now is that we'll maintain our objection. It won't be as strong as objection as it was last time, but we will do our best, and we'll have to see what the planning officer comes back with. So thank you very much for coming in. And you don't have to stay.
Unless you want to.
Right, got enough there, Duncan?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm now going to reopen public questions again. And this time, we've got more Joneses, Mr. Ian Jones and
Chloe Pitt is the agent.
Chloe Pitt. And I don't know what you want to talk about, Chloe, so do come and explain what's going on.
Thank you. Good evening, Newquay Town Council. My name is Chloe Pitt and I'm a Chartered Town Planner with Collaborative Planning. We are the planning agents for the application concerning the garage at 19 Melonbrain Lane, Newquay, which seeks outline planning consent to replace the existing garage with a new dwelling. The primary aim of this application is to secure outline approval for the principle of development, focusing particularly on the proposed access arrangements for the new dwelling. All detailed aspects, including layout, scale, appearance and landscaping, will be addressed at reserved matter stage. This approach ensures that the proposal aligns with local planning policies and supports the principle of sustainable development. The existing garage is of a single-storey structure with a lean-to extension located between 19 Melonbrain Lane and the boundary wall separating the property from number 21. In 2010, planning permission was granted for the demolition of the existing dwelling and garage with a proposal to build 9 apartments. This approval was extended in 2013 but has since expired, and the property is currently used for 4 self-contained residential units. The proposal is fully in line with the Cornwall Local Plan, the Newquay Neighbourhood Development Plan and the National Planning Policy Framework. The site sits within Newquay settlement boundary and is identified as an area for residential growth. The proposed development will contribute to the town's housing supply in a sustainable manner. In terms of residential amenity, the design of the proposed dwelling, finalised at reserved matter stage, has nonetheless carefully considered to ensure that it does not result in significant negative impacts on the privacy, daylight or overall amenity of neighbouring properties. The scale and orientation of the dwelling are designed to prevent overshadowing or overbearing effects. The submitted indicative layout respects the established character of the area and provides a functional garden space to the rear, the size of which will match the footprint of the dwelling. This approach aligns with the new requirements outlined in the Cornwall's Climate Emergency Development Plan document. It is intended that the detailed design at reserved matter stage will reflect the local architectural character of this lane, incorporating materials and building forms that complement the surrounding area. A high standard design is a key principle of this proposal, with careful attention to detail at reserved matter stage to ensure that the development enhances the local built environment. To date, we have received no objections from either the public or consultees, and we would greatly appreciate the Town Council's support for this application. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Has anybody got any questions they want to ask? My one question would be, is this now going to be one big house for a single family, or is it going to be 2 houses? It's not going to be 9.
No, so it was just making the point that previously 9 apartments have been consented on the site, but the applicants don't feel that that's appropriate to approach that previous scheme. So the plan would be to keep the existing house as subdivided at the moment and to create a dwelling in place of the garage, which is likely to be for the applicants.
How is the house subdivided at the moment?
The ground floor is 1 unit and then there's 3 above.
3 above?
That's right, isn't it? 3 above, yeah.
2 on the middle floor and 1 on the top floor.
Right, so you've got 4 flats in the building, and this is to build another one to make the 5.
Yeah, in total for the site,
And
yeah.
what sort of, I mean, I don't know if it's something appropriate to talk about parking yet, Duncan, if we're only doing in principle, can we fit another
We
building?
are just doing the
So we're
looking,
literally just
yeah.
looking about whether we think you can fit another house in where the garage is.
Yes.
Yes, Sarah?
Yeah, is it going to be shared access then? I note from your the existing drop curb and the red outline that you've got for the property. Are you going to keep the same access for both?
2 accesses, it's 1 on either side.
If you're going to actually, nobody can, if you can come and speak in the mic, because I think we may have lost our audience by now.
Okay.
Yes, so
If
there's
anybody who's listening, they would like to hear what you've got to say.
there are 2 access points and
Right.
there's quite a lot of parking. I've obviously been to site myself. There's a lot of parking on site, so it would be a shared parking area in front.
I know the site, and it does have a lot. It's got a lot of space, and
Yeah.
you're basically just building where the garage is and leaving the rest of the site as is.
That's correct, yes.
Anybody else got any questions they want to ask? Because we're just talking now about whether we think we can replace the garage with another building.
How I don't know, how far away is the what would it be, the east side of the lean-to compared to the neighbouring property to the left there?
Do we have a site, a sort of site plan?
Have we got a distance from that? Yeah.
Is that what it looks like now?
Yeah, that's what it's. What is that distance from?
I don't know what that distance is. There isn't.
You don't know?
I haven't got
Perhaps
to-
we can you just explain what we're looking at now?
Yeah, so there's been an indicative site plan that's been submitted with the application, which shows roughly the footprint. So the footprint would be really not much larger than the current garage with the lean-to extension.
This
No.
is the indicative. So this shows in here you have a boundary treatment, okay, fence stroke wall separating new dwelling from garden main building, and you have the indicative footprint of what at the moment we are talking about a single-story dwelling with pitched roof.
And to the right of the picture is the next door neighbour, take it.
On the right is the next door neighbour. So this property here.
What is in the corner? Go back to that site plan. What's that funny shaped building? Not move your cursor a bit. Right. What's that?
Yeah, so that's the neighbour's garage, which is a lot higher level. And there's a current application in the system at the moment for extending that for a holiday unit. But is that, yeah, higher level. And I think you've raised no objection to that one, so, yeah.
Sorry, it was that concern because that property that's to the right on this drawing has all their main windows then looking over that. So it's going to be a close thing between how low you're going to be, because you're going to be directly, it's a very close distance between that eastern edge of,
Are you asking
of
a
the
question?
yeah,
Here to
in
make it
terms
work.
of sort of like impacting on the neighbouring there in terms of their outlook.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why we've indicated 1.5 stories would be more appropriate, because if you had sort of a gable to gable approach, meaning that there would be no windows on the side elevation, and as it stands at the moment, there's obviously single story with no impact because it is like a slightly lower level. So in our opinion, if you went to a 1.5 story, then there would be no neighbouring impacts on either dwelling.
I'd also point out that this is the outline stage. We will see, we will see another
That would be something
application
that we would look at the next
in the
stage.
reserved matters.
Any other questions that anyone wants to raise? Fine, so we're going to propose closing public question again, seconded, show of hands for closing public questions. What we will now do is ask Duncan to present on the, move up the agenda. So everybody's approved, we'll go with this one.
You can appreciate the entire site. So you've got the blue line site, which is the main dwelling. It's all under the same ownership, obviously. The red line site, within the red line site, you've got the garage to be demolished and developed. And I think that we've already briefly seen the where the boundary treatment will go. It is pretty much following this red line, okay? The indicative block plan, yeah, it's just make that so larger. Yeah, you can see, so that's the footprint that you've got at the moment, and the indicative is a very similar footprint, yeah?
Can you just do that again?
Looking at the existing footprint of the garage at the moment, of the outbuildings that are there, and that's the indicative block plan. But as I say, that would be further clarified at the reserved matters stage. So the next application that we would see, should this one be approved. Okay. The indicative site plan, as I say, we've just discussed this, and the boundary treatment that we're looking at there, and this isn't just about the principle of development. This is also about access. So we have an access plan here, but I think we could see from the street view that what would happen. The existing drop curb site would be used for the access. There is a large area in front of this overall property that could accommodate, I don't know how many cars altogether, but it would seem that the access is existing.
The only thing I can think of is that the plan of the dwelling comes right up to the boundary. Unless I'm reading that wrong, have I got that right? So the access on the side of the property is going to be problematic. If there was a small gap, then it might be a little bit easier.
I would just say that it would appear that the current buildings there are built right up to that boundary as well. So
they've got access from the other side, so it's not a ransom. I know what you're saying.
and that's probably something that would come up in the reserved matters.
Yeah.
That's the kind of detail that we've been looking at in the reserved matters at the moment. It's really the principle of developing that site, and the only matter not reserved is the access.
Does anybody have any problems with this? Because normally as long as we think there's room for a house, we normally just go no objection and wait for the next issue. So I'm going to propose no objection,
Yeah.
and we'll wait with interest to see what happens next. Thank you very much.
Who was your seconder? Second, right.
Oh, yeah.
You're very sparkly.
Good evening, councillors. I'm Lisa Solly from Situate Plan Consultancy, and I'm here with and representing and introducing Peter Cowling of Trabelsi Farm. Peter's farm hosts the Boardmasters Festival every year, and so while you may be familiar with the name and the applications in respect to the festival, I thought it might be helpful for you to meet Pete and put a face to the name. Pete's family first tenanted the farm in 1933 and have owned it since 1956. As well as the farm, Pete owns Cowling Plant Hire, which was started by his father and has been run from the farm for about 40 years, utilising buildings and spaces when not in use for agriculture at given times of the year. The farm and plant hire employ about 10 people, with additional employees on the farm in the summer months. The current application, I should have said PA 240961, seeks retrospective use of the land for the plant hire business and a scaffolding yard, and also seeks to regularise the appearance and use of existing buildings for the plant hire company, as well as commercial storage and ancillary storage for the annual festival. Permission has not been sought or applied for Cowling Plant Hire over the 40 years that it has been operating, and while a certificate of lawfulness could be applied for it, it made sense to regularise everything in one full application, as the other uses represent further farm diversification that helps to support the farm. The site area is located within the farm complex to the west of the site. You can see that sort of northwest area there, with land used for the plant hire yard and scaffolding yard located between buildings to the north, south, east and west. The use is therefore not encroached out of the general farm area, and there's no intention of extending from this area. The commercial storage units are used by existing businesses who are based or operate from the north coast and who require convenient local storage. There is a clear demand for this, with Pete receiving inquiries almost on a weekly basis. As he operates his own business from the units, and due to the close proximity of the farm and his own home, as well as the sensitivities around the festival, Pete ensures that the site is well managed and that only locally based companies who have a legitimate need for storage are accommodated within the units. In respect to the building used by Boardmasters for storage, this has arisen as a result of sustainability efforts by the festival team, including reducing lorry journeys by keeping bulky items on site through the year. In terms of energy, the site is served by a wind turbine, while another turbine serves the remainder of the farm buildings. In respect of visual impact, the location, scale and form of the buildings have been approved previously, and the change to the openings and the use have not resulted in any detrimental visual impact upon the wider area. There are no neighbours affected by the proposals, and we are pleased to note that no objections have been raised to the application on the online register. Fundamentally, the proposals represent further diversification to support the working farm and long-established plant hire business with compatible uses for which consent is now sought. Planning policy at local and national level supports farm such diversification, with the Cornwall Local Plan stating that diversification of the agricultural industry is critical to Cornwall's future and long-term prosperity. I hope this clarifies the nature of the application, and we hope you can support the application. We're both happy to take any questions that you might have when you go through it or in advance of that. Thank you.
How long has the business been operating?
Cowling Plant Hire, about 40.
40 years.
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking that on the other side is the MOD land?
Yes.
As opposed to, because we did a landscape analysis of this area, and do we have any pictures of the existing farm, what they look like now?
Yeah, they're in the design access statement, Duncan, if you want to.
Can you perhaps have a look at them? The reason I'm asking, because when we did the landscape analysis, we weren't looking at the buildings, but we did think they were a bit run down. And I was hoping you might have repaired one or two of them since.
Oh,
this was 2018, so we're talking a fair old way. Here we go.
Yeah, I think the ones close to the highway, and the ones, because they surround the farm effectively, they are now improved, as you can see.
So 6 years ago, they had rather a lot of holes in them, I seem to remember. Does that ring bells? And that's all been repaired now, is it?
A large amount of buildings, so it's an ongoing project. We're always improving buildings.
Yeah, look at it.
That's a June 2023 image, street image.
Yeah, that's considerably better than there was in 2000.
And that's the entrance to the site itself.
Am I right, Duncan, that we've not had any objections to this being used for business?
No, I'm unaware of any
So
issues
what
with
we're
that.
talking about is just regularising something that's been there for a good long time.
Yeah, well, so the Cowling plant hire has been operating from the farm area for about 40 years. The storage has been fairly recent. The buildings were approved for agricultural use, but were no, because of land purchasing issues that arose, they weren't required for that. And at the same, well, just after they were used for storage. But then in terms of ongoing storage, Pete was contacted by somebody wanting commercial storage, and so he handed it over to them, and then he's just had further inquiry since then. So it's really to regularise. So there's now commercial storage, which is part of the application, Cowling plant hire, part of the application, and then also the Boardmaster storage is the building to the right-hand side, to the building at the north-east. If you roll, yeah, in the red there, sorry, the red shading building, that was a fertiliser store, and then now it's given over to Boardmasters, and for no sort of extra commercial, like for no financial gain as such.
Is there still a caravan on site where someone lives? That seems to...
We have 2 caravans on site, yes, with farm employees in.
Yep.
So
Anyone got any questions on this? In that case, I'm going to close public questions, with your permission, and move up this so we can talk about it straight away. So, Duncan, if you're ready to roll.
Yeah, really, not too much to look at here. In terms of the comments, both the Ramblers and the Public Right-of-Way team have both raised no objection. The Public Right-of-Way team have put forward a number of what may well become conditions on any. There's an advisory note, but these may well become conditions on any permission granted, and obviously they want to keep the public right-of-way open and usable. I think really we've sort of established most of the sort of key points of this. We see the layout of the buildings. You've got the scaffolding yard, which itself I don't think has any permanent buildings or anything. We have the plant hire yard, the storage units. Unit 1 is for Cowling plant hire. Units 2 to 7, so the rest of them in blue, are commercial storage. And then, as we've established, the ancillary Boardmasters storage, which is a non-commercial unit. This is basically regularising uses which have been in place since 2009, at least 2019 as the site is at the moment.
Anybody got any concerns with this one? Now, I'm delighted to actually see that the buildings are being put to such use, and you've made all this improvements, because it obviously has been. And because it's retrospective, I will just propose no objection. That's what we normally do with retrospective applications, because we usually like to have them in advance. Is there a seconder for no objection? Sarah, show of hands to. So thank you for coming in. And it was very nice to see a face to go with the name.
I'd really take heed of those conditions so they've got on there, like with gates and everything as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do, because I think it's the public right-of-way is the road to the north. So we're not...
Well, yeah, I'm looking at the Cornwall Council interactive map, which shows the right-of-way going through the middle of your farm, but they're very clear on those. And, you know, that it will be enforced, and if not, so I would pay close heed to that, because it's obviously somebody's radar that, you know, they're going to come up and check. So
I'll say that we're supportive of those. Yeah, if you're happy with that.
You've already got wind power, I know. I mean, there's any opportunity to put solar panels on any of this stuff, is what we normally say. But it's not really associated with a change if you retrofit.
Turbines.
Yeah, I remember the turbines coming through. Okay, thank you very much. I think you've got enough, have you, Duncan?
Yes, yeah, we'll be supportive of the public right-of-way team comments, and we'll just reference policy G to encouraging green energy production. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you.
We'll see you here.
Yeah, no doubt. Take care. Bye.
Take care.
Turn to the agenda. That's public question time. Active consultations. Yes, do we have any active consultations, Duncan? Apart from the fact that yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Yeah, so we've got the Infra 2 for the succinctly named Infra 24194, which is the Newquay strategic route. Let me just get onto a more useful map for us.
So we were supposed to be looking at that in the parking working party. I didn't get any comments. I know you had some comments, but didn't send them to me. So effectively, what I've done, we can still incorporate.
What you did, and I sort of like agree. I still have huge concerns with this. This is going to be a major routeway with that island, which is outside the Methodist Centre, which is a real pinch point. So
where's that? In terms of the map, where is that? Well, let's start with my comments, because what I did was I looked at the, I don't know if everyone's had an opportunity to see what I sent round. So it went through the wee small hours of this morning, and then I went and looked at it again and corrected all the spellings of Youth of Pendragon I'd managed to put in there. But I mean, effectively, hopefully we all know what it's a big Y shape. And they've put in, the restriction on waiting is where local people, I think, are objecting most. Could we have a look at SN01, please?
Certainly. So this is the restrictions on waiting on Stret, Pendragon.
And it assumedly goes down to Michael and Arthur, whatever it's called. But yeah.
yeah.
So SN01,
Sorry, bear with.
which is the east Y thing, and it's the bit that's already developed. Here we go. Can you blow that up a bit?
Found that was less than 66%. There we go.
Here we go.
Is that okay?
So effectively, that was or is currently free parking, and now they're recommending, because I assume it's the route coming from the strategic route. It's 20 miles, and we're not doing speeds at the moment, so forget the speeds for the moment, but this is just a restricted parking. And one of the comments I make is, why is it all on the same side of the road?
Have you got the point? Have you got a pointer there? Have you got the pointers, Duncan?
Is your bit that you're worried about?
Yeah, it's this bit with the island there. Thank you. So, at the moment, is it possible to blow it up even more?
It is.
Please, Duncan.
As well, the purple denotes no waiting at any times. That's double yellow lines, and the green is limited waiting bays.
So at the moment, there's the island outside the Methodist Centre. It's got an inland bay, and at the moment we've got cars parked in. These are all shops on this side, and that's completely inadequate parking for this row of shops. At the moment, we have cars that park all the way down here, and at the moment the road indents here, and it is a squeeze getting past a car and the little island that they have in there. And even if there's no parking there, a large articulated lorry is going to find it hard.
Right. So it makes sense that we've got parking bays on that bit of the road, which is for 2 hours only because it's shopping, which is the question I was asking.
There's shops on this side as well. There's the Methodist Centre, and the bakers and that sort of thing going on there. This is all residential, but at the moment, it is very much a pinball machine. Normally, all of this, there's the 3 bays which has parking on, but currently we have parking on all of this here. So, and this is going to be all residents.
Yeah, well, this is what the residents objecting to.
Yeah, and so, but then we've got the cafe and the shops on the corner here. We've got shops on that corner there, and they've got nowhere to park.
Apart from these bays with maximum...
Which is all going to be filled up with, well, it's going to be residents because we have no enforcement.
No, you can't say that because it's 2 hours maximum. You're saying it won't be enforced, but that's a different issue. But what they're saying is they're going to take away all residents' parking and have only parking bays, presumably to serve the shops. Now, I don't quite see why the bays at the top, which aren't serving shops, should be 2 hours maximum. But I mean, it makes sense for the ones that are opposite the shops.
There's a cafe up on the corner.
There's the
cafe.
There's a cafe. Yeah. And we don't know what the shops opposite are going to be.
No.
And the hairdressers, you know, if you're going to be there and have a perm, you can easily be there more than 2 hours, couldn't you?
Are you approving or disapproving this? I mean,
I think it's inadequate.
You think there should be more parking?
There needs to be more parking, yes, to service those shops and cafes and things at the moment.
The problem is that it is the route that they want to direct traffic to. If you're going to Padstow, they're proposing. Yeah, if you want to go to Padstow, they're actually proposing they go up this way and not the shorter route because they want to keep traffic away from the Whipsnade cliffs for obvious reasons. So they're actually going to have signage. Now, I haven't told us this, but to me, it's interesting that it's only 20 miles an hour, because if it's the main thoroughfare going up to, and as soon as you get round the roundabout, then you get into sort of standard, I don't know whether they're thinking of changing it once you get past the roundabout.
But the road itself, even with
So what would you...
I don't think it should be the main thoroughfare. I think, you know, but they did not design and build it as such.
Yeah, we have to live with what they've designed. No, I'm sorry. No, they always designed this as the main thoroughfare. Always.
Yes, for Nance Leddon, but not as the main route as a traffic route for coming through.
No, it has always been.
But then there's poor design then, and sort of like that.
There isn't.
That island that's here is nuts. Yeah. And it just has a street light in the middle of it.
So you would like to get rid of the traffic island?
That traffic island really needs to go.
Right. We're not doing speeds, we're just doing parking. You're saying you do not think there is sufficient, there is no part, what they're doing is they've completely taken away all parking for residents, which worries me.
Yeah. It's just going to push it through onto the side streets, but...
So, Duncan.
Could I just make a point? The proposal does include the implementation of a new 20 and 30 mile an hour speed limits across Nance Leddon.
Yes, but this is going to be 20 miles an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify that speed is one of these drawings does cover. One of the four drawings covers the speed.
That's a really different issue. But this, they were doing the parking availability at the moment because that's the way they've presented it to us. So you're saying there should be more commercial parking?
I think there should be more commercial parking. That island needs to go.
Yeah.
Because an articulated lorry going and doing a delivery for Tesco's, which is going on the other side, is going to struggle to get past that island.
Right, so you want to get the island to go. You think that there should be more commercial parking. Do you have a problem with the parking being taken away from the residents?
Yes, I do as well, yeah. Because, I mean, that's, you know, why have they got it there? Why have they not, when they built it, not put double yellow lines on it? Because they don't like double yellow lines. They've done everything they can to make it awkward, to make this a main access road.
What I hadn't, well, it is the main access road, that's the problem. What surprised me, which I hadn't realised, was the fact that we've always insisted that the duchy provides 2 parking places. What I hadn't realised was that to get your parking places, you have to pay extra for it. Yeah. And as a result, a lot of people haven't taken advantage of the existing parking bays, and they are relying upon street parking.
Yeah.
But effectively, what are we saying? What would you like to say? That they should leave it as a free-for-all?
Well, no, because as I said, lorries you wouldn't be able to do it. I struggle at the moment in a car, not a large car, getting past all the parking
Ignore the
is
island, no, just
but
we
even
don't-
with
I'm
with
happy with the island.
with the parking that's there, with the amount of people that park on this road, it is dangerous
Well, then
just
so
driving up
you're-
and down it.
You are approving that they should remove the parking.
Some of it, yes. I think it's going to be a struggle. They're going to be pushing all the people that park there all onto the side streets for
that's
parking.
true.
It is
But you're
dangerous driving
saying-
around there.
But you're saying they should do that.
They're going to have to do that if they're going to be letting articulated lorries coming up and down that road.
It is.
They're going to have to.
I'm sorry, it is the NSR, it has been the NSR. So effectively, I think what you're saying, Sarah, is you would like to see more parking. You wouldn't want to see residents parking on this street, although you are concerned that of the knock-on effect on adjacent streets.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But you think there should
And
be...
businesses.
Right. Does
And
anybody
businesses, yeah.
agree with me about the bays being on different sides of the road, or is that just... Because it actually means that all the fast traffic coming in off the roundabout, they're the ones that are going to have the right of way, because it's the left-hand side traffic, which is actually slower. This is going to be...
20 miles an hour though. It doesn't.
Well,
That's really slow. 20.
What I've noticed in streets where you have parking bays on different sides, it introduces traffic control. Whereas this is just saying, well, the people on the left-hand side coming out are going to have that.
They're there already, these parking bays exist there.
Yeah.
They're already built in.
They're already there.
They're already there, aren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
So the only thing
Yeah.
that is changing is that they
on-street parking
are
is
making them, well, no, they're making them,
Mandatory to park in a parking bay and not on the
And
street.
putting a
but
time on.
they're putting a maximum figure on.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think traffic up there is a nightmare.
It is.
I think sighting and be able to see what's coming around corners and stuff is
Yeah.
awful, considering
Yeah.
it's supposed to be a kind of a place where you're encouraged to walk and things. And I know the intention was to get all the residents to park in places kind of near their home, but not necessarily directly next to it. And some people obviously don't like that because it's too traffic. And if you've got kids shopping and raining and stuff, it's complicated. But I agree with that bollard in the middle, because my kids used to go to one of the things near there, and it was just a nightmare. I do think that if they want
From what I,
of
Joe,
views,
what do you think? Position of changing the
no,
NSR.
I'm just expressing my frustration.
Yeah, I mean, so, but effectively, I think what you are saying is that you approve of the restricted parking. You think the bays should be bigger. No, because the bays already exist, so we can't make
But
them
they should
bigger.
be made bigger. They could be made bigger.
They're all granite edged.
No, I think that's going to be really difficult. So, but you're saying that you think the bay, that there should be a longer period, say 3 hours or 4 hours
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
opposed
3
to
hours would be better.
3 hours?
Yeah. at least, yeah.
And you know,
Down
with,
and
with the time, you know, so residents could actually park there in an evening. So
Yeah.
'cause
now
the
that
shops
is a really good idea to say.
Yeah. Like to
Switch
Benson Road.
yes, that is actually a really good idea to say that for, say, post, 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock, yeah.
Post 6 o'clock to make the bays available for residents. I think that is
Or
a
anyone.
really, well, yes,
but,
anybody
You know,
else.
if you want to park your car there, so there's a couple of wine bars and things. So if you
But
drive
they've got
there,
parking down the bottom though, they've
No.
got rain parking, haven't they?
So the thing we haven't talked about is the blue stuff. The blue ones are, this is down in what they, I think it might be Guinevere. I get very confused, but I think they're currently calling it Market Street. It doesn't exist at the moment. And the parking there is parking bays, but there's for 1 hour only, which seems quite reasonable. Or are we saying 1 hour is a bit short for a parking,
I think
for a
actually
shopping?
there's a lot of dog walking in that area that they've designed in. And, you know, I go there, walk the dogs, go to a cafe.
But it's going to be
have
different
tea
once they
afterwards,
develop
you know,
it. Once they're planning for the future, they're going to develop it there. You aren't going to be walking the dog.
Oh no, it's purposefully designed
to be
dog
very
routes and things
dog-friendly.
on the valley with the whole with walking then up to the orchard.
So are
All
you
the way down the
saying
valley.
it would be better for the blue ones to have 2 hours in it as opposed to 1?
That means,
Yeah. Also, there was a no return in 4 hours.
Yeah, well, they're making it commercial. It's the parking has been provided for commercial. It's been taken away from the
Well, look,
residents.
the principle is that you take it in turns to park. That's why you have
Yeah.
a limited hour and no
Yeah.
return in 4 hours. So you
But-
do your thing and then you go.
But I do think it's a good idea to have open up the bays for general parking, unlimited time for anything past 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Does that make
But it says
reasonable?
until 6 p.m. anyway on both of those cars.
Does it?
So-
Oh no, that I didn't look at. Sorry, you're right. So after 6 p.m. it's
Trading hours, there's a restriction. Afterwards, there's no restriction.
okay. Fair enough.
Six,
So,
okay.
so we welcome the fact that there's no restriction after 6 p.m. And we'd like 2 hours on the blue ones and 3 hours on the green ones. Does that make sense, Duncan? Because
Yep,
I'm going to be
yep,
asking
got
you
that.
to submit all of that. Okay. And we would like, and we have serious concerns about the bollards and the bollard in the centre, which I can't quite visualise, and the problems it causes.
You drive round there. You have a little drive round there.
I do, I've never noticed it. Anyway, never mind. Right, can we have?
Four drawings for this.
Yes.
Should we have a look at the next one?
Yes, please. The next one's not a lot simpler. Right, so this is planning for the future, same sort of principle. It's undeveloped, but they are going to restrict it to, if you go down and see what it says, I think it's 2 hours after 6 o'clock. They're just planning for the future. If we accept it, the difference is this one is 30 miles an hour, but we'll see that in a minute. Has anybody got any problems with, considering it's going to be, again, it's going to be the main route, it's the left-hand.
Is this the one that it continues then over the... Where,
And it's going to...
This is the one that joins up with Trevenson Road up the top here, okay?
Gawain, I think.
Do you want me to,
Yeah,
Is
it?
is it helpful for me
It's the
to,
left-hand.
Yes, that is
If you
right.
okay.
think of it as a soft
So
and vague
Trevenson
Y.
Road,
Okay.
and so we're
Right,
joining
yeah,
up
yeah.
with Trevenson Road,
Yeah.
yeah? If that's helpful at all.
Yes.
We'll be saying the same thing, that we think it's 3 hours will be better than 2.
Can you put up
There's
a
nothing there yet.
restriction again as to what they're planning?
Yeah.
So they're putting in no restriction then below
No, it's
Tretheris School. So I mean, yeah, but permanent restriction then.
Permanent
below-
restriction.
Well, it's hard to tell, isn't it? Because we don't know what's going to be adjacent to it that it
No.
needs commercial parking.
But in
for,
principle,
so-
they're doing the same thing. So
Okay.
we're assuming that they are looking for commercial growth there, and not residential.
Either side of the road will be commercial
Yeah.
property.
And are we saying we think
But the-
3 hours as opposed to 2?
There's a very big gap.
Right, can
isn't there?
we motor on, because we've got another...
You can't be inconsistent if that's
Yeah,
the case.
exactly.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, sorry, Duncan, can you go back to the actual map view? So, because of where
It will probably get easier when we see the speed one. So can we go on to the next one?
okay.
Can we go on to the next one, Duncan?
That's no parking, that's a loading bay. So obviously that's going to be associated with a commercial enterprise that they are looking to fit in there, I would suggest. Say that you would like the green parking bays to be 3 hours instead of 2.
Yes. Basically saying you wanted to control them. So that's just saying take the opportunity to expand where there are existing roads. And think about that road that goes past the school.
Yeah, this one that goes past down to Chapel Farm.
It's a lost opportunity not doing it at the same time. I don't understand why they've stopped where they are. Okay, do you have enough to make comments on it, Duncan?
Yes, I think so. I think I will revisit the meeting recording just to make sure that I've got everything. But yeah, no, I think so.
And you're happy to put what we've said?
No, I'll do that. I've got until
Yeah.
Friday to do that. So
Okay,
I'll
thank
be
you very
able
much
to
for
unpick
that.
it. So I just need a proposer and a seconder that we will return these comments that we've raised. Yeah.
Show of hands, yep. There might be a few contradictory ones in there, but I'm sure you can sort it out. Okay, do we have any other consultations?
Maybe, well, not live ones, but with the Mid Cornwall Metro active travel phase 1,
We're going to totally ignore what you said.
Yeah, basically we have had a response from Cormac. So yeah, you resolved to object to that. This was the narrowing of Narrowcliff.
With the
And I think so. Yeah, so they provided a response, which, as Joanne said, it's like thank you, but no thank you, and then they've subsequently provided correspondence giving notice that they will be starting work on narrowing Narrowcliff very soon. So that's just an update.
Right and who's wrong. Anything, have I jumped past? Have we got any licensing applications?
We have got a licensing application. We've got a variation.
Yeah. Can you take us through it, please?
Yeah, sure. Just let me get rid of this slot.
One more planning application.
I've got Tom. Oh no, right. Sorry, I'll just find the premises in question. Where are we? We're down here a bit, aren't Okay, that's not working, is it? Right. Who put that lamppost there? Honestly, right. So we're looking at Tom Thumb. Okay, the Tom Thumb cocktail bar. Funnily enough, I was still working for Cornwall Council when one of my colleagues licensed this one for the first time. Okay, so this is a variation to an existing license. We wish to apply for a later license for the bar to serve alcohol. They would also like to add films to their to their list of permitted activities. They don't currently, well, no, they are allowed to have live music in there under the Live Music Act, and that is until, so it's not actually on the license, but a change in the law meant that they were they were small enough to be able to have live music in there till 11 p.m. They wish to extend that hour. They also want this, that you see they've got this decking space here, and they also want to potentially have music outside at the front there as well. In terms of the current opening closing hours, they the regular hours would see the premises close at midnight. They would like to add an hour and a half to that, so that they close till 1:30. Similarly, would be adding an hour and a half onto their alcohol, so so they would be serving alcohol until 1 a.m. Recorded music, which they do have on their license, until 1:30, and live music, which, as I say, they've an entitlement under the Live Music Act up until 11. They would like to have their live music until 1:30. And they also want to add films to this, showing of films, and they are looking at midnight for that.
And
they're both
music outside the venue.
Live music indoors and out.
Oh, that's not quite what they're saying in there when they describe it.
Right. Okay.
Saying and also to have live music inside the venue between 10 and 11 p.m, which they can anyway, can't they? So the live music will be minimal as we're a small venue, but on certain occasions, such as Birds Night, it'd be lovely to be able to entertain the guests. That doesn't say they're going to have music outside, so it's the actual application that's saying that they want to go outside, is it?
Yeah, and I can just show you on the.
An exhibition take place at indoors or outdoors with both on this thing, both.
And they want to show films outside as well, and the only outside piece that they've got is at the front, isn't it? They haven't got an outside.
No, it isn't. So the out. So let me just show you this. So you've got the on the right, as you're looking at it, is the ground floor, and this is the front here. This is the front, and this is East Street, and this is the outdoor area. Okay, and they are looking to license. As I say, they can do live music within the premises anyway at the moment, but they are looking to add a little bit more time to that, and that would be live music there. That would be live music there, and the red area there, that is the bar. That's where alcohol is purchased. They have an outdoor area, which they are talking about projecting films onto the back of the building. I did raise the point with them that that's not even shown on the plans.
No.
But they licensing seem to be quite happy with the plans that they've received. And this isn't the first time we've sort of seen this. I mean, there's no brown line showing the premises boundary at the moment.
So they're saying they're not intending to go outside onto the street. They're only going back to this private space at the back of the venue. Is that?
They don't
roughly-
say.
That's for the film.
Yeah.
For the film.
It doesn't say. It just says outside. It doesn't. It
Yeah,
just says
that
both.
concerns me.
It's so yes, it concerns me as well because I don't think they should be showing films and things at the front there. I think it would be a big distraction for drivers and for people coming.
Could I just say, right, if we were to show films in the summer, it will be in the upstairs room
Oh right.
or projected onto an internal wall inside the bar or on the outside wall at the back of the bar
So
in
can
the
we
garden.
make that can we make
This
that
is a private
condition?
space at the back of the venue with limited space and
Yeah.
accessibility, making it a ticketed event. I've already asked them about this,
Yeah.
and they haven't really come back with what I
Yeah,
call
'cause I mean,
satisfactory
effectively,
answer.
what they're asking for is much broader. But if we condition it to
Yeah.
be in the back, it'd be more acceptable. The trouble is what they're asking for is anything outside, and if they got stuff outside in the front, then they could, if we just rubber stamp this application, it could come out the front.
They are, at the moment, they're saying that they would do the films inside, but they might do them outside, but it will be at the back
Yeah.
of the premises. So
That
up
is
here,
that's what they're saying, but that's not what the form they have ticked on the form. That's my problem with it.
they would have a condition saying films
That's
can
what we're
be
after.
at the back. Yeah.
That's what we're after. We're saying in principle there's not a problem, but we would need strict restrictions to make absolutely clear that it was not out of the front.
Okay. I'll just point out as well, Sue Edwards, the Civilian Life Police Officing, says, we agreed this variation with Tom Thumb prior to submission. It's an extremely well-run premises that causes us no issues. This is really the crime and disorder side of it, obviously. And the licensing officer kindly let me know that they'd had no representations so far from members of the public or responsible authorities.
So in a sense we're making a representation which once they reassure us with the conditions we can withdraw representation. Is everybody happy with that? So I'm proposing we make a representation to identify what the conditions are to ensure that there is nothing coming out the front.
So film only at the rear.
Film only and drinking only at the rear, not coming out. I mean, music only at the rear, I think. They've ticked both.
They were looking at having music at the, as my understanding of it was, at the front of the building there.
Well, that we're saying that's. Resolve the difference between the form and the conditions, then we can withdraw the representation. Is everybody happy with that? You're seconding it, Francis. Shows hands to make a representation on that basis. Because it is a well-run little place. But you could always change management and then they would have a very wide application without the restrictions.
So have they got live music already at the back?
They're allowed it to 11.
They've got live music at the premises. Part of my problem is that there's no premises boundary here. So so looking at this, if you just took the blue lines and the grey lines as the premises, it doesn't even show the garden.
Exactly. That's our problem.
Really should do.
Yeah.
Right, can we motor on? So do we have any previous planning?
You've got no 5-day protocols to ratify, but you have got one sitting in your inbox, which I need to respond. You have responded and Joanna's responded. I do need responses to that by Friday.
So if you
Okay.
look at your, I can't remember what it was on. Oh, we disagreed, didn't we?
No, I was thinking, I'm wondering whether I change on it with
Well, I think they haven't shown us, they're not.
No.
It's the one with the very awkward build that we looked at a couple of weeks ago. And they're coming in with certain changes, but they aren't actually commenting on what we objected to. So I want to maintain our objection on that until they come back with a better design. But you may not agree with me. Sarah's now thinking about it.
Well, I just didn't like it at all.
Yeah, in that case. Right, if we carry on with that one, and please note if you could respond to Duncan by the end of the week, that would be good. Right, we have one planning application left, I would take it.
Two, but they're both certificates of
Oh, yeah, I thought
certificate of lawful existing use and development. They're both quite straightforward. The first one is PA 2409174, and this is Zenith. The Zenith block of flats, or sorry, apartments.
Yeah.
When I first started in this role, we saw a few applications for the for this building having its holiday use only condition removed. And yeah, we've not seen one for a long time, but that's exactly what Flat 7 wants to do. Granting a lawful, basically they're saying that they have been using it. They were granted permission for it to be a main residence. And I think enforcement aren't convinced that the people ever did use it. Now, as you know, a planning application has a time limit on it, 3 years. You have to act upon it within 3 years, or otherwise it lapses. I think enforcement are saying to them, you have to show us that this has been your main residence. Otherwise, it's still holiday use only. This is tied up with this second home taxes. So granting the certificate as applied for would mean that the applicants who now live in Bolton, so they're saying they have lived there as a main residence but no longer do, they live in Bolton, would be liable for a second home premium council tax. If the certificate isn't granted, it is their understanding that the property would remain a holiday home and therefore be exempt from that charge. I mean, personally, there's not any evidence supplied with this. I kind of think it's up to the officer to sort this out with them.
I would agree. I mean, it appears it is a holiday home, but they just want to avoid paying the holiday home tax.
Well, they're saying that they use it as their second home, as their second home. So they live in Bolton. So once upon a time, they bought it and it had a holiday only restriction on it.
Yeah.
They then applied for it to be their main residence, and they say that they did move in and make it their main residence. But then they moved to Bolton and they use this as their second home. And if it were a second home, then it is going to be subject to a tax, which they seem to be quite happy to pay.
Oh, so what's left? So what are we saying? Get the officer to support it, to sort it out? It sounds very muddlesome.
There's no evidence supplied.
No, we've got no evidence. Right. I propose we object to this. There's no evidence supplied, and we wait for the planning officer to elucidate. Second of that, anybody? Thank you. And show of hands for that.
I'm going to abstain. I don't understand. So the point that I'm going to make whilst abstaining is that why are we being dragged into this? This is an enforcement issue. So it's nothing to do with us.
That's why we're objecting to it.
Yeah.
We've got an incomplete application. We always object and say, go sort it out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with the outcome, but I'm not going to vote.
No, fair enough. We'll wait and see what happens in the next chapter. Right, and then we've got number 5, which is another certificate of lawful development.
It certainly is. I can almost vouch for this one myself, to be honest. It's 48 Edgecombe Avenue. In their covering letter, the applicants state that they've owned 48 Edgecombe Avenue since March 2014, and the house was operating as a 7-bed HMO at that point. it was licensed, but it didn't have the necessary sui generis planning permission in place. We've been provided with evidence of ongoing HMO licenses, but it wasn't until a recent planning permission for this address that it was noticed that it didn't have the right use class. The applicants are now applying for a lawful development certificate to bring the HMO fully up to regulation, so a change of use. They have provided all of their HMO licences as evidence, as they should do, and signed declarations from tenants past and present to say, yes, I live here and it's an HMO. Lots of solid evidence, and I mean, even a quick view of the street view. This is 2015. You could see that it was, well, this was what it was previously in oh God, where are we? 2009. You can see it was a guest house, and then it around about 2014, which is what they were saying, it changes to being an HMO. So I can't see it's quite a convincing argument that it's been an HMO for as long as it needed to be.
It's retrospective. I propose no objection.
Yeah.
Francis seconded. Show of hands, no objection. End of the planning applications. At this late date, I suspect we're not going to be changing our terms of reference. Risk assessment update?
No.
Right. We have no reports back from the association. Well, we've discussed parking till the cars come home, but yeah. So we got nothing from the working parties. Have we spent any money?
No purchases have been made. No payments to authorise.
Yeah. The budget went through. Have we got any other correspondence?
The appeal decision for 21 Aylwin Close, and I've attached the inspector's decision there.
I haven't read it. It's a quick summary of what it says.
A quick summary of what. Oh, you're taxing my memory now. Appeal decision.
Is this one where they're overriding the neighbourhood plan?
Sorry, and there is another one. There is another one here. Trying to remember. 21 Aylwin Close. Yeah, they aren't overriding our policies. They just didn't agree with Cornwall Council and our view that it was going to have a negative impact.
So subjective judgment.
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly. I will just quickly show you the property in question, because I know Sarah. Sarah will remember this one.
Oh gosh, we've been.
So it's this. So it's this one that they were. Oh, and Francis obviously remembers it as well. So this one that they were extending both footprint and up. The inspector has said, no, I don't see a problem with this.
Fair enough.
I mean, these people's windows.
Yeah. You're just going to be. We're so dark.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that one come around. I've obviously missed the
We've
email.
had it 2 or 3 times, haven't we?
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah.
I also have one other letter for you, which is basically goes back to a letter that we wrote. Well, we got Andy to sign it, in fact.
Got to Angela.
It's a letter from some 3 years ago. Basically, we were unhappy with. Oh, in fact, sorry, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. Let's not get carried away. We were unhappy with the lack of licensing enforcement activity in the town.
Oh, this is the one about
And we
now
never
they're
got
going to do it.
Yeah, and we never ever got a reply to it. Well, it seems that licensing compliance has been picked up and taken out of public protection and put into regulatory services, which is quite an unusual thing for Cornwall Council to do. Normally that used to all sit in public protection. Licensing enforcement officers all sitting alongside each other.
They did a much better job over boardmasters.
Yeah, and this guy Stuart Kenny has taken the time to write back to us and say, I've taken over this service. This letter, which you never received a response to, has come across my desk. So I'm going to take the time to respond to you. He is saying he gives us a précis of the work that they undertook this summer, which was better. They were there was more evidence of them. And he's also said, I'm keen to build on the work we undertook for this year for the 2025 event. I'd be happy to engage with you in advance of next year's event, should you wish to do so. Would you like me to go back to him and say, yes, we'd like to take you up on the kind offer? Yeah?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Do you need a vote on that?
I think I probably do, yeah, if you don't
Yeah,
mind.
I'll propose that, yes.
Francis seconded. Show of hands to go back to him. We all agree with that one?
Yes, please.
And we'll see what he says. But yeah, it was a surprising letter. Well, the letter that we've written
Is there any other correspondence?
No, that was that.
And then items for information and discussion only. I haven't got any. Anybody got anything they want to raise?
The weekly decisions list is quite interesting.
It is a good one.
Yeah.
So, 1 King Edward Crescent, so
Our old friend, yeah.
has been refused. So where they wanted to take that parking and build a quite large house there, that has now been refused. Mr. Ashworth's Watergate Bay development has been approved. I thought you'd like to know that because we had quite a lot of involvement in that. And finally, the discharge of the condition to stabilise the cliff at Paradise Cove has been deemed not acceptable.
I went up there
Happy
the other day and
Christmas.
took my monthly photo, and what they call the apron is absolutely collapsed. I couldn't quite see where all the extra rocks are coming from because there hasn't been any fall on the cliff that I know of, but there are huge number of extra boulders on the beach. I think they're coming out of the apron as it gets swept away.
Yeah, the fine material will get washed out, leaving behind.
And then they fall down the beach.
Yeah, and it's just...
Email from Helen Fincham about this.
Yeah.
Oh yes, she did Cormac did a review. I've asked whether I can share it. Funnily enough, we were talking about this because I was pretty shocked when I saw what the beach looked like. I've asked her whether I can share it with the Whipsted Cliffs people. Can't see why they wouldn't want to see it. They've just gone round. They just go round every 6 weeks or so and take a picture. And they're saying, as I agree with them, that there's no extra falls yet, but there will be. Okay, is there anything else we need to talk about? Date of next meeting, 8th of January.
Date of next meeting is the 8th of January. We may have a presentation for that. I will keep you updated, okay?
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for coming in this close to Christmas. We never stop working and planning. Do I have anything to sign, Duncan? Because I've got to literally rush off.